Hey, it's NPR's Book of the Day. I'm Andrew Limbong. Even among the people I know who turn their noses up at reality TV, they mostly make an exception for cooking shows. There's something warm and comforting about them. The competition ones in particular are as thrilling as any other TV show, and yet you feel safe to have them on when family is around. And if you are one of these people who's into watching people cook on TV, today's episode is just for you. Up ahead, Top Chef winner and host Kristen Kish has a new memoir out. But first, Nadiya Hussein was a winner on the Great British Baking Show, and she's got a new book out titled Cook Once, Eat Twice, which is focused around practical cooking for your family, especially for those of us on a budget. In this interview with NPR's Sarah McCammon, she talks about challenging herself to not waste anything from garlic skins to banana peels. That's ahead.
This message comes from FX's Alien Earth. From creator Noah Hawley and executive producer Ridley Scott comes the first television series inspired by the legendary Alien film franchise. A spaceship crash lands on Earth, bringing 5 unique and deadly species more terrifying than anyone could have ever imagined. And a technological advancement marks a new dawn in the race for immortality. FX's Alien Earth. All new Tuesdays on FX and Hulu.
The Great British Baking Show, or Bake Off as it's known across the pond, has featured many contestants who've become fan favorites for surviving bread week and battling pies prone to soggy bottoms. But perhaps none is more beloved than the mom of 3 who wowed judges with her triple-tiered lemon drizzle wedding cake, 2015 winner Nadiya Hussein.
I am never ever going to put boundaries on myself ever again. I'm never going to say, I can't do it. I'm never going to say maybe. I'm never going to say I don't think I can. I can, and I will.
And she has. Ever since then, Nadiya Hussein has become a culinary star in the decades since, with multiple TV shows and cookbooks. And she joins me now from the UK to talk about her latest book, Cook Once, Eat Twice, Time-Saving Recipes to Help You Get Ahead in the Kitchen. Welcome, Nadiya.
Thank you so much for having me. What an introduction.
You know, one of the things I love about this cookbook is that it really seems to be all about simplicity and efficiency. You know, it's divided into these sections with names like Back to Basics and Leaven Your Leftovers. But I went straight for the chapter called 2 Dishes because, like you, I am a mom, I'm busy. I just love the idea of getting more mileage out of a round of cooking. So what inspired this approach to cooking?
Essentially, all it is I'm making a huge batch of something and then I'm splitting it into 2 and then turning it into something else. So it doesn't feel like you're having the same meal twice. So you've got something like a beef stroganoff, which I'll turn into a stroganoff pie, or a bolognese that I'll turn into a chili, or a carrot soup that I'll turn into a carrot and cod curry. One of my kids' favorite is the corn chowder that I turn into little individual pies that we take to the park. So yeah, there's so many ways of being inventive and creative with one dish.
Just so you know, last night I just wanted to try this out. And before I went to bed, I made the chicken curry. Okay, so the first step for this one is to heat up the oil and add garlic, ginger paste, and then eventually onions and salt. So we'll start with the oil. The onions are starting to boil. They're not quite golden yet. Might need a little bit longer. I'm a big fan of curries. I loved this one. I have one question though. So the onions, it says to wait till they're a golden brown. And for me, like, they just kept cooking and they got really soft, but they didn't turn brown. And I have to confess, I quit before they turned brown. I didn't quit the recipe, but I moved on. What did I miss there?
Sometimes you just have to crank the heat up and get it really caramelized, because everything has a little bit of sugar in it and it needs like a high heat, and get them to color quickly and then turn it down. And that's when they'll start to brown. But well done for persevering. The thing is with onions, with any good curry, the onion is the start. But if you don't show your onions a little bit of love, you don't get the best out of them. And I always give myself a good 15, 20 minutes to really cook down the onions. And when you've done that, you have the start of a really good dish.
So that was the first step, the curry. You set that aside and make the second dish, the orzo. I made the chicken curry last night. I've got half of it put away in a storage container, putting that in the refrigerator. And then this is part 2. So this is a whole separate meal. So it says start by putting half the curry in a pan, adding the orzo, and cooking over high heat until the orzo is combined. Okay. How does this typically play out for you? Do you make it one night, feed it to your kids, put it in the refrigerator, come back?
Yeah, so what I tend to do is make the chicken curry, see how much of it they eat. And normally with a dish like this, they would normally eat half of that in one night, and then I'm usually left with the other half. That's why I've kind of increased the volume of the curry. Once it's cooled down, I might pop it in the freezer and make the chicken and orzo another night. That's why I kind of bulk the recipes up so you can get 2 dishes out of them.
That's what I was going to ask. You can freeze it.
Yes, absolutely. There's very few things that you can't freeze. I love my freezer. It's one of the best ways to save money, to save time, to save ingredients. I save everything down to my potato peelings. When I peel any root vegetables, whether that's parsnips, carrots, potatoes, swede, I will pop the peelings into a freezer bag, put it in the freezer, and then take it out and make a huge soup with the peelings afterwards.
You're really serious about not wasting food, and you have a whole section devoted to just that idea. I mean, you're doing really interesting things, even making a curry out of banana peels. Tell me more about where that sense of frugality comes from for you.
I think it definitely comes from growing up in an immigrant household. We did not waste anything. I grew up with my grandma. She spent a lot of time with us. She essentially raised us when my parents weren't able to be around. So they had very little, and the little that they did have, they never, ever wasted anything, whether that was ingredients, whether that was old clothes. They would cut them up and turn them into blankets. And I always found that so intriguing. And it's something that I thought I'd never picked up until I had my own family and realized actually what I'd watched had been somehow by osmosis ingrained into me. And I just took to it. Like, I love the challenge of asking myself, is there any way I can use that? I make prawn oil, which is delicious when you're making noodles as a condiment on top. I never chuck away my garlic peelings because you just pop them in the oven, roast those, and then grind them down with some salt, and you've got instant garlic salt. There's so many ways of saving and not wasting.
The one in that section that really caught my eye is the chickpea meringue. I love garbanzo beans, chickpeas, use them all the time. I'd never thought to do anything with the water.
Yeah, so it's aquafaba, and when you pour that liquid out, it looks very much like egg whites. And there's some magic that happens when you whip that up and add a bit of sugar and you have vegan meringues. I have a little tub of meringues that I make every time I drain a can of beans. No matter what kind of beans they are, I always make little meringues because I just can't throw them away. I just think what a waste of a brilliant, magical product.
We're speaking during Ramadan, the Muslim holy month, and I know you have another cookbook that's devoted to that. That book is called Ruza. Is there one recipe that you particularly cherish this time of year? Maybe something you like to break the fast with?
Well, we always break our fast with cold water and a date. But the one thing that we have to have on our table every year is samosas. Every culture has its own version of a pastry filled with delicious things. Often they're filled with like spiced lamb or spicy potato and peas or chicken, tuna. There's so many variations. And my kids absolutely love them, and I make them by the hundreds.
Okay, let's end on a sweet note. Your father ran a restaurant. I want to know more about this ice cream recipe that I gather he used to serve.
What they used to sell is kulfi, which is an Indian ice cream that's made with thick cream, lots of ground whole spices, and it's made with bread. So it's got a lovely kind of just delicious Moorish texture when it's frozen. My dad would buy these pre-packaged kulfis, and I was like, no, I've got to make my own version. So I kind of mastered my own version. It's so much better than the pre-packaged stuff, but I think anything that you make from scratch is always going to be better than anything you buy from a shop.
Nadiya Hussein's new cookbook is Cook Once, Eat Twice. Well, Nadiya, it's been so nice talking with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
This message comes from Schwab. At Schwab, how you invest is your choice, not theirs. That's why when it comes to managing your wealth, Schwab gives you more choices. You can invest and trade on your own. Plus, get advice and more comprehensive wealth solutions to help meet your unique needs. With award-winning service, low costs, and transparent advice, you can manage your wealth your way at Schwab. Visit schwab.com to learn more. This message comes from Leaf Filter. It's summer, and your rain gutters might be quietly filling with debris. Summer often brings heavy rainfalls. If your gutters are clogged, water can overflow and lead to costly damage. Protect your home now with Leaf Filter. Schedule your free inspection and get up to 30% off your entire purchase at leaffilter.com/NPR. That's LEAF filter.com/NPR. See representative for warranty details.
Kristen Kish is now a bona fide famous person who cooks on TV, but her first cooking jobs were far less glamorous. She's got a new memoir out titled Accidentally on Purpose, and she talked to Here and Now's Jane Clayson about what she learned from working at fast food joints as a teenager.
Ever since she won Bravo's Top Chef Season 10 in 2012, Kristen Kish has been in the spotlight. Even more so when she took over for longtime host Padma Lakshmi last year. But as we learned from her new memoir, Kristen Kish wasn't always comfortable being showcased. It took time, a few mentors, and missteps along the way. Kristen Kish's book is called Accidentally on Purpose, and she joins me now to talk about it. Kristen Kish, welcome to Here and Now.
Thank you, Jane. Happy to be here.
So let's start at the beginning. You were born in South Korea and adopted to a loving family in Michigan. Mm-hmm. How did growing up Asian in a predominantly white community shape you?
You know, I think it shaped me because I didn't realize that I was Asian growing in a predominantly white family. You know, my school was incredibly diverse. My parents were incredible in making sure that, I knew where I was coming from, who I was, that I was adopted, but also not making me feel separate then. So rather than feeling separate or different in that way, they made me feel unique and special. And so I think just shaping that narrative around unique and special really helped me shape my identity and give me the permission to explore the parts of me that were different.
You talk about working in fast food restaurants in high school, at a pretzel stand in the mall. What did those jobs teach you?
Well, I think especially at 15, they taught me responsibility, showing up on time, doing my job, not just to the best of my ability, but also doing my job that challenged me to find a new definition and a new bar of what my best was, in whether it be shaping pretzels or ringing up on the cashier to eventually, running my own business. I've realized that my best oftentimes can be even better.
Well, and you say that the kitchen was the first place you ever truly felt like you fit in. What was it about that space or that rhythm that gave you a sense of belonging?
I think it was because I questioned so much of my ability and my confidence for so much of my life that a kitchen, when in that space, and I was tasked with, cutting, chopping, setting up a station, finding organization skills, my mise en place, I was really good at it and I didn't have to try so hard. And I feel like in the kitchen, I found that confidence because I didn't have to think so hard about trying to be good at my job. It just came naturally to me, at least the baseline. Of course, I needed to learn a lot of things in the kitchen, but, comparative to so many other parts of my life, I didn't have that feeling.
It's interesting to hear you talk about struggling with your self-confidence.
I struggled with it for a very long time. I do still. I don't think that that's something that goes away. I can be both confident and also insecure in different spaces. My job now as an adult who is somewhat, aware of my own things and issues and challenges that need to be faced, I know that when I feel that insecurity, I know I can get to a confident place. I just have to put the work into it.
I want to play a moment for you, which is very familiar. It's when Judge Tom Colicchio gave you the win on Top Chef Season 10.
Kristen, you are Top Chef!
Take us back to that moment when you won Top Chef, Kristen Kish. What did that win mean to you, and what does it mean now?
Gosh, I think over the years, over a decade, it has really shaped and defined what it has meant to me and what it did for my life and the opportunities that has provided me. Back then and till this day, the thing that Top Chef really showed me is that I can do something that I never thought I could ever do and still be good at it. Because when I went on Top Chef, I didn't think I could do it, and I didn't want to go. I was encouraged to go, and I was supported all the way through, but there was everything in my being that was like, I've watched it on TV. There's no way I can do something like that. And I think when you come out on the other side having been successful, and that doesn't necessarily even mean a win. That could mean whatever that success marker means for you. When you come out on the other side and you realize you just did that thing, like that is, talk about building confidence. That's like a thing that will never escape me. And it's something I'm going to carry on with my, in my entire life and my career moving forward. And that just means everything to me.
Well, that makes me wonder, was there a time early in your career when you felt like you had to shrink or edit parts of yourself to belong in a kitchen or on TV? And has that shifted for you over time?
Oh, 100%. I think that there have been so many scenarios, whether kitchens or otherwise, where I tried to take up less space. I tried to be invisible. I didn't want to be seen. And that was purely out of complete anxiety and insecurity. I have worked really hard at reckoning some of that. But that being said, there are some scenarios I still walk into a room and I have to remind myself to take up space because it's not a natural thing. I think growing up with incredible social anxiety for most of my life, the goal was just to not be seen. Like, don't do anything that pulls attention towards you. And I've done a lot of therapy on understanding the moments that I have to be. Like, I have to be for myself, for my job, for people around me, for people watching me that I feel, or that perhaps look at me to represent themselves. There's so many reasons why I have to do it, and I've gotten much more comfortable at doing it. But I can't say that it's not a natural resting position to take up all the space.
Let me ask you more about that, because you've talked about the many labels that you carry: adoptee, person of color, queer woman, and what it means to bring all those layers of identity into a public, high-pressure industry. How have you managed the tension between staying true to yourself and carrying the weight of representing so many different communities?
It doesn't feel like a weight to me. It feels like a privilege, an honor. Like I get to do this. And by way of doing it, I meet an incredible amount of people that have so many amazing words to share with me. It's less about thinking how to do it. And the greatest value that I have in this arena or on TV is that I'm doing these projects and aligning myself with projects that just allow me to be me. Now, they can tap in and amplify certain parts of me more than others, but it is still very much me. As much as I am a television host, I'm not playing a character of a television host. I'm me holding the role of a television host. And I think because I get to simply just be who I am genuinely and authentically in the jobs that I choose, that makes it feel less weighted, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Can we do a quick lightning round together?
Yes. I love that.
Okay. You're a lover of fast food. What's your favorite?
Arby's.
Okay, what at Arby's? Sorry, I have to follow up.
The chicken fingers with the curly fries and ranch dressing and barbecue sauce.
Okay, yum. Piece of kitchen equipment you can't do without.
Okay, other than like the normal knife, kitchen, like that kind of stuff, the chef things, I would say a Y peeler.
What is that?
It's the shape of the peeler. And I feel like it's more ergonomically designed for a quicker and more efficient peeling of vegetables.
Yeah. You won Top Chef, but now you're the one saying you are Top Chef. How does it feel to be part of someone else's life-changing moment?
Oh my gosh, that moment is incredible. I will say one of my favorite moments actually, is when all the chefs walk in on the very first day and they have no idea what they're in for and how potentially their life is going to change, and that one of them is going to walk away winning Top Chef. That first day is the full goosebump moment for me, because I'm like, you guys have no idea that your life is about to change. And that's really awesome to be a part of their story.
You've described your career, Kristen Kish, as something that unfolded accidentally on purpose, which happens to be the title of your book. How do you feel about that story now, looking back at your journey?
I think looking back at it, writing this memoir, there are so many accidents that defined my purpose, that allowed me to see purpose, and that defined what purpose meant for me in my future going forward. And the title of the book came last. We wrote the book, and as we were reading through it, and me and my writer going through the edits, there was a theme. And that theme was all of these accidents that I didn't think twice of in the moment. I just went through it. defined everything about who I am and where I wanted to go.
Kristen Kish, Top Chef Season 10 winner and author of the new book, Accidentally on Purpose. Thank you so much. What a pleasure.
Thank you, Jane.
And that's it for this week on NPR's Book of the Day. Let us know what you think. You can write to us at bookoftheday@npr.org. I'm Andrew Limbong. The podcast is produced by Chloe Weiner and edited by Megan Sullivan. Our founding editor is Petra Mayer. The show elements for this week were produced and edited by Melissa Gray, Ryan Bank, Justine Kennan, Catherine Fink, Elena Torek, Todd Muntz, Julia Corcoran, Shannon Rhodes, and Emiko Tamagawa. Yolanda Sanguini is our executive producer. Thanks for listening.
Support for NPR and the following message come from IXL Online. Is your child asking questions on their homework you don't feel equipped to answer? IXL Learning uses advanced algorithms to give the right help to each kid, no matter the age or personality. One subscription gets you everything. One site for all the kids in your home, pre-K to 12th grade. Make an impact on your child's learning. Get IXL now. And NPR listeners can get an exclusive 20% off IXL membership when they sign up today at IXL.com/NPR. This message comes from Warby Parker. Prescription eyewear that's expertly crafted and unexpectedly affordable. Glasses designed in-house from premium materials starting at just $95, including prescription lenses. Stop by a Warby Parker store near you. This message comes from Bombas. Socks, underwear, and T-shirts are the top 3 requested clothing items by people experiencing homelessness. Bombas makes all 3 and donates 1 item for every item purchased. Go to bombas.com/NPR and use code NPR for 20% off.